Hey y'all. So, happy Tuesday. I'm going to give people just a few minutes to come into the room. Hey, camera stage. I'm going to give a few minutes for the notification to come out. If you are here, make sure you let me know that you're here. Hey, Mr. Black Captain, how are you? Happy Tuesday. And so I'm just getting my stuff set up so we can talk tonight. So I can talk to you guys tonight. So I see a few more people coming in. As y'all come in, make sure you let me know that you're here. And happy Tuesday to everybody. If you have not seen my video from earlier today, definitely make sure you check that out. It's a video about AOC and her comments about the migrants drinking out of the toilet instead. Hey Matt, hey NT, how are you guys? Hey Pula, Pilu, guess I said that right, Pilu. But hey, what's up? Hey Jake. Counter stage, I don't want to give a full recap because some people, by the time they come in my lives, they haven't seen the video. But AOC's statement was basically how the migrants were drinking out of the toilets at the facilities. And so it was kind of like a big uproar about that. And the crazy part about it is, y'all know when they say things like this, they use these talking points to galvanize like protests and uproars and to do media spins and all that type of stuff. So I just basically talked about the truth of the matter or whatever. Pill and Lou. Pill. Okay, got it. But yeah, that's interesting. The World HAW say I want to hear from the people AOC spoke to. I doubt you'll get that, but you know. Hey Deadshot. But yeah, so if you haven't seen that video, definitely make sure you check that out. And so while I'm waiting for a couple more people to come in the room, y'all, did y'all see the video today? Hey, Eltworth, have y'all seen the video of a girl in a store licking the freaking ice cream? Have y'all seen that video? It just really be some weird things going on in the social media world that I think some of these folks, they should have just never gave you internet. Like, why people insist on doing dumb things on camera, I really just don't know. Hey, y'all, right? But anyway, yeah, so it was a girl in a grocery store and she opened up the Bluebell ice cream and literally licked the top of the ice cream, closed it, put it back in the freezer. And so I remember when I first saw the video thinking, I just hope she gets caught and I hope she literally goes to jail because that is disgusting. Hey, Helena. Travel safely. But I was thinking like, oh my God, that is so disgusting. Like, I hope they catch her and she goes to jail. And literally, like, I think hours later, they've identified her. Duh. The authorities have identified her. I'm like, if this is not the slowest generation ever, like, that is a crime. These people are literally crazy. Yes, they do anything for internet fame. They do anything for clout, looking for that 15 seconds of fame. I mean, I guess people think the way to go is to do the most disgusting and outrageous things. I don't know. But it's just ridiculous. I don't know what the heck You're Right is talking about. Hey, Joseph. Okay, I'll check my emails tonight once I get off. Hey, Cajun. No, the girl wasn't drunk. She was just being silly for the camera. Like, her friend was recording it. You know, they're doing it for laughs. And I'm like, you need to be prosecuted. And some of these people, you just have to make an example out of them. And it's like, it really sucks, right? Because, you know, those aren't the dummies that I advocate for, obviously. And people have to be responsible for the things that they do. But it's like, you can throw away years of your life. You can throw away so much money just doing stupid things. Yeah, I better talk to your kids. Let them know it's so easy to throw your life away out here. For real, for real. James Black said the plummet at the federal detention centers are way better than the plummet in the Bronx local jails. I was just saying, if you're just coming into the room, if you didn't watch my video from earlier today, make sure you check that out. I was talking about ALC's comments on these, saying the migrant women, detainees are drinking out of the toilets and stuff. It's really crazy. But y'all, so last week I told y'all that I might end up making some videos about what happened at the DNC debates. Do y'all know the first night I fell asleep on the debates? Like, I straight up fell asleep. And tell me why I woke up to a tweet with Trump talking about some boring. I'm sorry, y'all. That just really cracks me up and made my night, because I literally fell asleep on a debate. And then I wake up to that tweet and I'm like, yep, that pretty much sums it up. And it was in Spanish. That's crazy. Do y'all notice how much the debates have changed compared to 2016? 2016, everything was Black Lives Matter. Do y'all remember that? Now 2020, it's speaking in Spanish. That is so crazy to me. But yeah, I definitely fell asleep. My predictions were, I think, pretty right. Everybody was kind of looking for that viral moment and trying to get the little buzz. The second night, my homegirl called me. I was like, girl, let's go to ladies' night tonight. And I was like, I'm in bed watching the debates. And she's like, let's get out. So I went and got out. So I didn't see the second debate either, but I saw a little bit of it. And Kamala Harris got that moment that I talked about that shot her up in the polls. So basically, it was a moment about her being bused to schooling and really grilling Joe Biden on the whole segregation thing. So I saw that coming. And Joe Biden just seemed really weird and really off. They cut Andrew Yang mic off. It was just a lot. It was just a lot going on. And I don't know. Like, I only watched a little bit of each, but the second night was just really weird. It made me really uncomfortable. I don't know why. I guess because, I don't know. I think they were more attacking each other. The second debate. The one with Bernie, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. compared to the first debate, just seemed more fluid. Fluid. Everybody was kind of a little bit more reserved. So, but I saw. So Helena J said half of what she said she was lying. If you Google her, I saw some people reporting it. I'm definitely gonna have to check into it. Whatever. But I think the next debate is in July, camera stage, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it's in July. Also, I want to let y'all know that next week there's going to be a summit at the White House. If you didn't know, you know now. There's going to be a summit at the White House. It's a social media summit. So they're basically going to be discussing the current online environment. So hopefully this will cover things like censorship, shadow banning, some of the things we've seen going on with YouTube and Google and Facebook. A lot of the stuff that I've talked about, a lot of the stuff that I've been caught up in the net of, okay? 8,000 subscribers. I have 22 people watching. When I had 4,000 subscribers, I had over 100 people watching. Tell me how that makes sense. People stay writing me talking about I don't get your notifications, this, that, and the other. It's really frustrating, but we're going to keep rocking. I mean, what else can I do? So, but hopefully they will address a lot of this at the summit. Hopefully something will be accomplished and we will be done about this. It's really unfair, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But so we'll keep our eye on that. If something interesting happens or something noteworthy, you know, I'll probably end up talking about that or whatever. So yeah, right, said I had over 250 people in my lives. So and so camera stage, I'm glad you said that because I want to address this because people might not know. Camera stage said we need to start our own website. So a guy actually did just that. He literally started his own website so people could be free to speak and all these things, right? I can't remember if it was Apple. I want to say if it was Apple, but it was one of these bigger entities that literally stepped in his way and was like, nah, we not having it. If I'm not mistaken, he had an app for it and they wouldn't allow it in the app store or something like that. I don't know if any of the rest of y'all have heard this story, but this is what happens when you have these big companies, you have these big monopolies, and they literally will knock the little guys out. So don't think people aren't out here trying to do this. And some people are doing it. People been telling me to get on BitChute, I think is the name of it. So I'm definitely probably going to be getting on there soon and uploading to there. But yeah, it's just crazy out here. So we'll see what comes of the summit or whatever. But all right, y'all. So let's talk about the people over at CNN because it's been some pretty interesting things going on lately. And CNN is kind of, you know, been telling the truth, looking like they're trying to report a little something. And so we'll talk about what they've been reported and what's been really happening. All right, so let's start with Brian Stelter and his news segment on the scuffle between Antifa and Andy. What's his name? Andy No. What's his name? All right, so let's take a look at this. Funny enough, I couldn't find this actual clip on YouTube, so I had to find it here. And hopefully this plays without an ad. Let's see.
Story that you need to know about before we take a break. This is a protest that turned violent against a member of the media in Portland, Oregon this weekend. Conservative journalist Andy Ngo was out there covering rival protests on Saturday. Antifa on one side, right-wing figures on the other side. But as the demonstrations clashed, protesters, it appears to be Antifa protesters, then attacked Ngo. He's been out there in the past. He's been covering protests in Portland for quite some time. His critics say he's there to cause trouble. But that's unacceptable. The idea that he would be attacked, that he would be bloodied in that way, unacceptable, period. And it's important that everyone make that clear, even left-wing critics who don't like him and things like that. There's much still to be, much more we don't know yet about all the circumstances, but disturbing to see that in Portland.
Now, let me see if I can go back. I bet you it's going to play an ad this time. But, okay, so he's condemning it, you know, that's good or whatever.
One more important story that you need to know about.
But I want y'all to notice. I want y'all to notice where the clip starts.
That turned violent against a member of the media in Portland, Oregon this weekend. Conservative journalist.
So as you see here, where the clip starts is them basically like silly stringing him. Okay, I guess like throwing things on him.
Andy Ngo was out there covering rival protests on Saturday. Antifa on one side, right-wing figures on the other side. But as the demonstrations clashed, protesters, it appears to be Antifa protesters, then attacked Ngo. He's been out there in the past. He's been covering protests in Portland.
Okay, so y'all saw that. And I mean, Brian Stelter is condemning this. So that's good. That's interesting. I actually did not even think they were going to cover this story. And at this point, I mean, I kind of like know how it works with these news stations being very biased or whatever. So I was actually more shocked that they covered the story like at all. But let's look at the actual full video and where it starts.
Fucking own, bitch!
All right, so, and it's crazy, like, now that I'm watching that video, I feel like me just watching that, right? Hearing the sound, even if they had to bleep out the curse words, really brings a different, it brings more of a full range of emotion of what's really happening in that video. So that within itself, I think was a disservice, because any other video where people were being victimized and stuff like this, they would have wanted to, it was kind of like a layover. I think that's what you call it. Is it a voiceover with Brian Stelter? Whereas with this, you can just really watch the video and investigate it. And so I worked with photography and video, and I'm not just saying I'm a videographer, but I know some things and how it can affect or impact the viewer. So I just think that was really interesting, and just a juxtaposition of, you know, this one just seems a little bit more serious. But if you notice those first few seconds, they're like punching this guy in his face. They're like punching him in his face, kicking at him, slapping him. So that's how he really ended up with the bruised eyes or whatever. So, oh my God. So you actually had some Democrats that came out and condemn this, which I think, is good and fair. You have Eric Swalwell saying, I don't agree with much of what Mr. Andy Go ever says, but that's not the point. He should not be harmed for his views, and his attackers should be prosecuted. And Congress should pass my Journalist Protection Act, which makes it a federal crime to assault or batter a journalist. Andrew Yang, I hope Mr. Andy Go is okay. Journalists should be safe to report on a protest without being targeted. So those were two of the people that I saw coming out having reactions to this. I also didn't expect that as well. I'm not familiar with Andy Go like at all. I really don't know anything about him other than what's happening in his story. So I really can't speak to his character or really anything for that matter with him. But I think it's kind of funny how we live in a culture where it's so much division that you have to preface your condemnation of violence. Like, do y'all understand how significant that is? Particularly with Eric Swalwell. And I noticed like a lot of YouTubers do this, a lot of journalists. I have to be very cognizant of doing this as well. It's like, okay, blah, 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 but this still was wrong. Like, why can't it just be wrong, period? Why do you have to preface it with, I don't agree with this person, I'm not on this person's team, but I guess it was still wrong. Like, that's really crazy to me. And I notice people doing that a lot. It like everything is so divisive now where you just can't be like, look, this is what it is. Wrong is wrong, period. People feel like they always have to add more context or, which is really crazy. So, this was pretty cool of Eric and Andrew Yang kind of speaking up against this. I'm not sure if other candidates have done so as well. I'm really not sure. I can't say if they have or if they haven't. But I don't know. This is just a crazy world. I don't know. I don't know why Tay do that said it won't let me donate. Are you talking about Super Chat, Tay? Let me know if you're talking about Super Chat, and then Cajun can also drop my PayPal and Cash App link as well. But so I just lost my thought. But anyway, so we just live in this really odd time where people want to make things okay for them, but not okay for others. And I told y'all, when it comes to me, like, I'm literally just a across the board type person. If it's wrong for one, it's wrong for everybody. That's just how I feel. That's why I made the video earlier talking about the whole AOC thing. Like, detainees are detainees, period. You can't try to move forward another group of people ahead of your constituents. And it's the same situation. If you don't like the combination of the sink with the toilet or whatever the case may be, you have to not like it all the way around. Like, I'm not with the picking sides. I feel like what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, I don't even know like where that little saying came from. But I know y'all heard that before. And so that's another thing that I wanted to say, Sleepers in the Carolinas. I think it's interesting that Eric Swalwell is introducing this Journalist Protection Act. I do think it's important to call attention to this issue because we have been seeing this a lot where journalists and media have been harassed and things like this. So I think it's important to call attention to it, but we also know that assault and battery is already a crime. So I'm really not sure if he's like kind of using this for points or something. I'm really not sure about that, but I did think it was interesting. And I do think the good thing about a Journalist Protection Act would have to protect all journalists with all different points of views, which is, I mean, but it's crazy, right? Because it's like more laws on top of laws. Literally everything that this appears to me that it will cover is already covered under the Constitution. Freedom of speech, freedom of press. I mean, yeah, right. I literally have no freaking clue. I just know what the saying means, uses context clues. Oh, okay. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. What's good for the goose is good for the male goose. Gander is male goose. I learned something new today. Thank you for that. Yeah, right. But yeah. So what's good for me is good for you. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, Roland, I don't necessarily think we need extra laws. I definitely think it's good for somebody like Eric Swalwell to bring light to this and bring attention to what's going on. But yeah, I don't really see how an additional law would help. And y'all would be so surprised how many people are excusing this. It's crazy. Go look at the comments under, like, people were attacking Andrew Yang, like literally attacking him, saying horrible things. Like, how could you take up? I mean, when did just unnecessary violence just become okay? Like, I don't get it. It's just really weird. And these are the same people that will be against violence in any other area, any other sense of the word. But now all of a sudden it's okay. Like, this really shows you that at the end of the day, a lot of people don't actually have morals and values. They don't. Because if you sway, like if your opinion sways with the wind or with who the person is, that's not a real moral. That's not a real value. Like, you just say whatever. So it really just doesn't make sense. But, and why people still won't, I guess it's different for journalists, right? Because, you know, this is what they sign up for, to get their moment and show people what is going on and things like that. But regular people, I really don't understand why y'all still go to these protests. Like, I'm not going to, you know, try to convince people not to go, but my mind, I just can't understand it. Let me tell you why I don't understand it. Because first of all, these people are crazy. They're crazy. They're loony. They will fight you. You could possibly die, literally, depending on which protest you go to. And not even to mention that most of you know, if you don't know, you'll know now. A lot of this, it's illusions. Like, it's not real. Like, you are literally being galvanized for other people's agendas. So every single time you go in the streets and you protest, and I guess if it's something you care about and it, you know, it's dear to your heart, like, that's fine. but oftentimes you're really I don't know. I just think that anytime I go in the streets and I'm going up against a different group, right? So like this was supposedly Antifa versus the Proud Boys. I didn't do like a whole lot of research into what they were protesting about because I really didn't care. But you know, supposedly from what I could gather, this was like Proud Boys versus Antifa. But I'm thinking every time, like if I was to go to this protest, I don't know why I would just feel like I'm out there fighting for like the Maxine Waters of the world and like all these other people who would never get out there and be assaulted, would never get out there and fight anybody, would have their private security with their firearms on their hip while they're trying to tell you you can't have firearms. Like that's just all that would be running through my mind. Like this is not real. This is illusion. Like a lot of this is created by the media and politicians to keep you pitted against somebody. Like, so I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just weird. And some of this stuff, and this is what I said, going back to this AOC video, they'll use that sound bite, right? Like, oh my God, they're drinking from toilets. And they'll use those sound bites to galvanize you. And now you're in the streets protesting when that was a lie in the first place. You know what I mean? It was straight manipulation. So I don't know. I guess like pick your battles wisely, be safe. Make sure if you're out there for a cause, it's like an actual real cause, like something that's actually happening and something dear to your heart or whatever. Because a lot of these people, you're going to have agitators out there. You're going to have people trying to get their viral moment. You have crazies out there. Like, I don't know. So a lot of this stuff, a lot of what we see happening in the media, y'all know a lot of this stuff is just lies. A lot of it is just built on lies. Like, so it's an illusion. So I don't know. But okay, Tay, I will. Thank you. But a lot of it is straight illusion. So if y'all be out here in the streets, just make sure it's worth it. Make sure you save. That's all I can say about that. All right, so Tay said, does that discourage you? Which part of it? Does the group think discourage me? Sometimes it upsets me. I think the most upsetting part is that I'm being censored now. So now my videos aren't reaching the audience that I was once reaching. Like months ago, I had a lot of new people coming to my videos, and there'll be some people. I got like a lot of good feedback, but some people would really be like going off on me, cussing at me, whatever. Okay, that's fine. You can disagree with me. But the fact of the matter is I presented you something to think about from a different standpoint, whether at the end of the day you agree with me or not. And I would say this, Tay, another thing that kind of frustrates me is if you go check social media right now, the main people that I had hoped to target with my videos, the main audience that I had hoped to reach right now, do you know what they're talking about? They are literally talking about some freaking Chris Brown lyrics about hair. Celebrities, absolutely. This is like one of the most talked about things right now on social media blogs. Chris Brown lyrics about some freaking hair. One person one person, you're so concerned with this man's preference. Like, I'm like, who gives a crap? In a big scheme of things, who gives a crap? Is that going to put more money in your pocket? Is that going to keep you safe in these streets? Is this going to keep you safe at school? Is this going to get some of these people out of these jails? Like, what is that going to do for you? It's just so odd to me. And don't get me wrong, y'all. I've told y'all I like me a good gossip site or whatever every now and again, but I think a healthy balance is important. You know, like, I'm not totally against, celebrity gossip or fun videos or silly topics or, this and that. I'm really not. But I think you have to have a good balance. Like, and a lot of my peers are just so distracted about things. It comes down to one or two things. They're either like totally distracted about things that completely 100% don't freaking matter at the end of the day, or they're being galvanized to push agendas. Like, it's one or the other. Another thing, as a matter of fact, while I'm talking about this, another thing is everybody talking about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing with the Nike shoe. I mean, I don't get it. Like who cares? Like, it's a shoe. If you don't like the shoe, don't wear it. I guess, if Colin Kaepernick feels so strongly about the shoe, there's nothing wrong with him saying something about the shoe or whatever. But in the big scheme of things, like the whole thing, whether Nike did the shoe or didn't do the shoe, is just a shoe. And either way, I just really don't care. So had they done a shoe, and by them not doing a shoe, I still just don't care. It hasn't literally changed anything about my life. Like, literally. So I don't know. It's just very weird times. And we have to make that separation between, entertainment and reality. Entertainment is fine. I'm cool with entertainment. I like entertainment. But like I said, I don't know. It just has to be a really good balance. What, Helena J, what was Lovely T's video about? And I'll watch Lovely T from time to time. And y'all, don't get me wrong now. I know these YouTubers do their topics. That's their bread and butter. And they giving the people what they want. You know what I'm saying? They're giving the people what they want. So you making your money. I can't be mad at that. I'm not hating at all. But I'm literally talking about us as consumers. Like, we just have to be cognizant of the information that we're taking in, what we receive, what we give our energy to. And that's another good point. Helena said, I'm amused he got uppity about a shoe, but not the sweatshops making the shoes. Absolutely. Like, no. And that's what I talk about with this selective outrage. You have children in freaking China making these shoes for, I don't know, 2 cents an hour. I'm probably exaggerating, but y'all get my point. But it's selective outrage. Like, people, like, we're so robotic. We're taught to think so circular, and people only think about things, a lot of people, not everybody obviously, but a lot of people only think about things in a way it's presented to them. And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, this was presented to me like this. Now let me go find more information. So, but I didn't even think about that. Camera Stage said Nike thing was an attention stunt. It could have been. That's a good point. I never even thought about that, right? They could, because you got the 4th of July coming up. You already got them working with Kaepernick. They know that you have a lot of people that feel strongly about celebrating or not celebrating the 4th of July. So yeah, that's a good point. I never even thought about that or whatever. But you know, these companies will do it in a heartbeat. They'll do things to get that publicity, to have people talking, to have a conversation. And conversations equal money. I mean, you get the people buzzing, you get the people going, and that's what it is. But all right, let's look at this other journalist from CNN, Fareed Zakaria. I guess that's how you say his last name. But let's check him out real quick.
Trump's mean-spirited and often bigoted attitudes on immigration. It pains me to say this, but he is...
Oh, let me start this over. We're gonna watch. I think we're gonna watch through this whole video, but I'm gonna give y'all my commentary as we go through. Okay?
Crisis with its asylum system.
Why is not letting me go back? There we go.
Given President Trump's mean-spirited and often bigoted attitudes on immigration, it pains me to say this, but he is right that the United States faces a crisis with its asylum system.
Okay, first of all, it pains me to say this. It's crazy, y'all, because I just talked about this. Why do you have to preface the truth? Why? Y'all think about that. Why do you have to preface the truth? It's like, okay, I'm still cool with y'all. I'm still on your side. I want you to know that. But now I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, what do you even mean by that? That is crazy. Just give us the freaking story. Give us the news. Is that too much to ask? It pains me to say this. It pains me to tell y'all this. So it pains you to tell us the truth. And you're willingly telling us that.
Democrats might hope that the out-of-control situation at the southern border undermines Trump's image among his base as a tough guy who can tackle immigration. But they should be careful. It could actually work to the president's advantage.
And what he just said kind of goes back to a statement I saw Cajun put in a chat earlier, and I can't remember it verbatim, but he was basically saying that, like, the news, they're going to start telling the truth because maybe they're getting to the point where it's like, you can't outdo Trump on his same rhetoric. Y'all are literally, like, what you did in 2016 is not going to work going into 2020. So maybe, you know, they're trying to reverse this thing, back it up to see, okay, how can we start getting some viewers back? What can we do? And this is literally him pretty much admitting to that.
Since 2014, the flow of asylum seekers into the United States has skyrocketed. Last year, immigration courts received 162,000 asylum claims.
Asylums have skyrocketed, right? But remember, we were just making this up. There was no crisis. But now you want to show charts and data. Like, this is like crazy.
240% increase from 2014. The result is a staggering backlog with more than 300,000 asylum cases pending, and the average immigration case has been pending for more than 700 days. It's also clear that the rules surrounding asylum are vague, lax, and being gamed.
The rules around asylum are vague, laxed, and being gamed. Are you kidding me? So now you tell us the truth. Now it comes out, right? Oh my God.
The initial step for many asylum seekers is to convince officers that they have a credible fear of persecution in their home countries, and about 75% meet that criteria. Some applicants for asylum have suspiciously similar stories, using identical phrases. Many simply...
You think? Asylum seekers has increased from 2014, y'all, by 240%. Not only that, some of them have, like, oh my God, I can't believe it, but some of them have strikingly similar stories to meet asylum. You freaking think? You think when you offering people jobs, you getting ready to offer them free health care? Why we really it's annoying to me how far these people will go to act like they underestimate human nature, right? Just to advance their agenda. This is crazy to me, and this is all straight up facts and what I've been saying for months.
Use the system to enter the US and then melt into the shadows or gain a work permit while their application is pending. Asylum is meant to be granted to a very small number of people in extreme circumstances, not as a substitute for the process of immigration itself. Yet the two have gotten mixed up. As the Atlantic's David...
Asylum is not meant to be used as immigration itself. This is why people have been saying, if you want to come here, that's fine, but do it the right way, so it is fair to everyone involved. But yet you have people taking advantage of asylum laws.
From has pointed out, the idea of a right to asylum is a relatively recent one, dating to the early years of the Cold War. Guilt-ridden over the rejection of many Jewish refugees during World War II, the UN created a right of asylum to protect those who were fleeing regimes where they would be killed or imprisoned.
Did y'all hear that? Who created asylum? Let's go back a little bit.
To protect those who were fleeing regimes where... UN created a right of asylum to protect those who were fleeing...
The UN created the right to asylum to protect those fleeing from like persecution and stuff like that. The UN. Y'all know how I feel about the UN if you've been rocking with me. Hey, Daryl. So it's not surprising. So when people believe that the UN has agendas, and for you to see like how we started off with asylum and how it's being used up until this day, you will start to understand and you'll start to see and accept the fact of why people would believe this was an agenda put in place to make today possible.
Regimes where they would be killed or imprisoned because of their identity or beliefs. This standard has gotten broader and broader over the years and now includes threats of gang warfare and domestic violence. These looser criteria, coupled with the reality that this is a safe way to enter the US, have made the asylum system easy to abuse. Applications from Hondurans, Guatemalans, and Salvadorans...
Now look at now look at the people in this clip, right? The first clip, I mean, that's pretty much all, like, these are all men, like, but I thought it was like the children.
Hondurans, Guatemalans, and Salvadorans have surged even though the...
I mean, these look like some pretty healthy, you know, young people, military age, like millennials. I thought the asylum was for to bring you sick and you're downtrodden and you're poor. I mean,
murder rate in their countries has been cut in half. More broadly, hundreds of millions of people around the world who live in poor, unstable regions where threats of violence abound could easily apply for asylum. Do they all have the legal right to enter the US through a back door, bypassing the normal immigration process?
The Trump administration's approach has been mostly to toughen up the criteria, hire more judges, push Mexico to keep applicants from entering the US. But a much larger fix is needed. The criteria for asylum need to be rewritten and substantially tightened.
One of the first videos I did, I talked about how the immigration laws we currently have need to be fixed. Need to be fixed. If you feel like the laws aren't working, fix them. I'm not opposed to immigrants coming here, but you're going to have to obey laws just like everybody else, regardless of your intentions. If I go right now and steal food because I want to feed a hungry child, I'm going to jail. If I go right now and prostitute myself because I need the funds, if I'm caught doing that, I'm going to jail, regardless of my intent for wanting a better life, wanting more money, this, that, and the other. I am still subject to laws. Regardless, fix the freaking laws.
The number of courts and officials dealing with asylum must be massively expanded. People should not be able to use asylum claims as a way to work in America. There needs to be a much greater cooperation with the home countries of these applicants rather than insults, threats, and aid freezes. No one fix will do it, but we need the kind of sensible bipartisan legislation that has resolved past immigration crises.
Okay. Now y'all want to be bipartisan. Okay, we can make it a bipartisan issue now. Interesting.
Democrats have spent most of their efforts on this topic assailing the Trump administration for its heartlessness. Fine. But that does not address the roots of this genuine crisis. If things continue to spiral downward and America's southern border seems out of control, Trump's tough rhetoric and hardline stance will become increasingly attractive to the public.
You think that y'all have went so freaking far left, so far. Yeah, I was astounded when I saw all those people on that DNC stage raise their hands and say that they want to give immigrants freaking health care. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? When Americans are still having discussions about Obamacare and Medicare and all these other freaking cares, like, do you care about the American people? Is it that surprising, that hard to believe that, yes, this type of rhetoric and ignoring the problem has literally made Trump look more favorable to people? It just is what it is, because some of this is just freaking common sense. It's just common sense.
Keep in mind that the rise of populism in the Western world is almost everywhere tied to fears of growing out of control immigration. For more, go to cnn.com/Fareed and read my...
And I'm glad Sally said that. Tawana authorities said migrants trying to buy kids. I was reading it today, and I actually think I did a video on that a couple of months ago. But they are literally selling children for $350. You have parents selling their children, and you have people stealing children. Excuse me. You have people stealing children to sell for $350 to be used to say that they're seeking asylum, to be used for less penalties, to be released earlier from these detention centers compared to people who just come here on their own. And yes, camera stage, that is absolutely slavery. But these are the things that people are ignoring. What happened to the manufactured crisis? What happened to the imaginary caravan? What happened to the so-called caravan? But now you have CNN literally sitting here doing a freaking segment, a whole segment with facts, charts, things I've been saying, we've been talking about, we've known for months now. And now they like, oh, I hate to tell you this, but we're going to finally go and share the truth with y'all. I mean, we might as well. Since us lying is starting to turn a lot of people off. That's basically what he's saying, for a lack of better words. So, like I said, these journalists now halfway call themselves telling the truth. Possibly, like Cajun said, maybe they know and they're starting to see that this is such a turn off. This hasn't worked, and they're literally pushing people away with the craziness and the lies and the manipulation and the bias, that maybe now they're trying to pull back a little bit. And yet they still have to preface it with, I hate to tell you this. I hate to be the one to say this. And that's the times we live in. But y'all, this is even the crazier part about it. And I was thinking about this today. Look at what we see happening before our eyes. A lot of these things we know the truth about, or we're learning the truth about. We see how the media lies to us. We see how the media creates narratives. Y'all, think about this. What exactly will the history books say 10, 20 years from now? That's the crazy part and the scary part. How will this era be remembered in time? And now it really makes me wonder about the history that I've learned and stuff I've been told is true, how true it really is. If these people will lie to us and attempt to manipulate us in real time, real freaking time. I did a whole video. That was my a epic video. That was one of my most favorite videos, the one I did about the so-called caravan. You literally had all these media personalities telling us, oh no, it's not a crisis. Oh no, that didn't really happen. Oh, it's a so-called caravan. Oh, it's the caravan is not coming. What are they gonna do? They were, and I showed y'all in real time, this is happening. They're saying this, but this is happening. So if they will lie to us in real time, lie to us about what we can clearly see right on video, right with our own eyes, who to say they won't lie in the history books? So we don't know what will be said about this time. We don't know. It's so crazy. So, man, and this is another reason why, I really promote, talking to your elders and really seeing, how things were in their day, learning your history, learning your family history as best that you can. My maternal grandfather and my paternal grandmother have both passed, and that was within the last 2 years. And I knew some stuff, but now looking back, it's a lot more and that I wish I'd learned and just known and gained that knowledge while they were here. And you know, my grandparents lived like through that time of desegregation and all that. Like I told y'all, my maternal grandmother. So what happened? I ended up taking my maternal grandmother to the African American History Museum and kind of just seeing her react to like the certain dates and like stuff like that. And she'll be like, "Oh, this year, you know, your uncle was born." And y'all, look, this is crazy because when you go to a museum, you naturally think like long ago, right? Like you just think history. But here I am with my grandma, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's the year your uncle was born. Oh yeah, that's the year your aunt was born. Oh yeah, that's the year that me and your granddad went to the Coliseum and we protested." And I'm I never knew this stuff. And that's a moment. I'm so glad I decided to take my grandma, because that's a moment that I really hold dear to me. But you'll be so surprised. And like, you know, my generation thinking we have it so bad, but me coming to the family function and talking to my uncle about, you know, my oldest uncle was like the first generation to be bust into the desegregated schools. And so for us to think, you know, we have it so bad and we're going through this and through that. And for my uncle to be like, well, we were the first Black family to move in this white neighborhood, and we had to deal with that. And we had to deal with going into these schools and, you know, this whole thing. It was really new being bused into these schools. And that's just interesting information, and it gives you a different context to life, and it helps me look at things differently, right? Because when I turn on the TV, they tell me, you know, your life is so bad, you have it horrible, it's miserable for you, you're so oppressed, and this and that. And then when I talk to my uncle from a different generation, it's like, girl, we used to be fighting every day when we was going into the schools. So it's just different, man. It's just different. And knowing that my grandparents were literally at protests to freaking sit at food counters, to ride the front of buses. Like, it's not comparable. It's not. And so I think all of us need that context to just add more context to life and really just put things into perspective. Because if you watch the media, they will tell us we haven't come from anywhere. We haven't done anything. We have not progressed. And if you sit with your elders, they will have some great stories, really great stories to tell. And my paternal grandmother, in particular, I really wished I had the time to really sit with her and talk to her more, because my paternal grandmother she was a woman of mixed heritage. And to this day, it wasn't really talked about, you know what I mean, much then. But of course, my grandmother, because of, I think things are a little bit more complex now and diverse now. But, you know, back then it was just Black and white. But my grandmother was actually like white passing. My paternal grandmother, she was white passing, and she was actually one of the first, my paternal grandmother was one of the first women to integrate one of the federal agencies here in Mississippi. So knowing that, you know, because like I said, she was passing, you know what I mean? So she was like the first Black to do that. And it's just crazy. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just so much history there, and I just really wish I would have took full advantage to just get some of those stories, because particularly on my paternal grandmother's side, the family there is smaller, and there's like some disconnect there. That side of my family is not as connected. And so a lot of these stories are gonna be lost now, and it really eats me up. So so if I could ever sorry y'all. But if I could ever encourage y'all to do anything, like have those talks with your aunts, your uncles, your grandmas, your granddads, your neighbors, like, because a lot of this stuff, I'm telling you, it's going to get lost in translation. It's going to get lost in history. And when the media is only telling you this, and you're only receiving this and only tuned into this, you lose a lot of perspective. You lose a lot of perspective. So I don't know. That's just crazy. But yeah. So I went on a little tangent there, y'all. But so I always want to encourage y'all to do that, man. And pass on those stories to your kids as well. If y'all have stories, like I personally, I love that, man. I love that. And my mom, it really like bothers me a little bit. I hope my mom is not watching this right now. But yes, I'm about to blast her. My mom grew up in a family with 9 kids. It was 9 of them. Like, how you don't tell us no? My mom doesn't tell me any stories about her growing up. Like, she just doesn't. Like, I don't know why. But I know you have stories for days. 9 freaking kids in one house. Like, come on now. I know she has some of the best stories, but she just not a, she's just not a story person like that. And then my dad, he'll tell us like more stories and stuff like that. But I know this guy that I used to work with or whatever. I worked for this small photography company, and sometimes his sons would come up there while we be working, and he just be telling me stories of like when he was in high school and like things that would happen and like how the neighborhood was and how it was growing up, how it was for him growing up. And I could just see his sons kind of just like literally their eyes glossing over and stuff like that. And then a guy that would be telling the story, he's so freaking animated, and you could like visualize it like a movie as he's telling it. And I just think in my head, like, they might not see it now, but one day they're really going to appreciate those moments. So yeah, y'all too, if you have stories, make sure you tell your kids, like, this happened when I was growing up. We did this in school. School was like this. So not only does it help them build, like I said, a better perspective and a more diverse and unique perspective, but it tells them a little bit more about you. It's very good bonding experience, and they can also pass those stories down as well. So that's really awesome. So like, anytime I just sit with people and like just get them to tell me those stories, I never just take that for granted, because you just never know when you'll have those moments again, and people can be here today and gone tomorrow. So, and all you have of them when they're gone is memories. You have memories. You can't, anything they left here within their brain or their spirit, I mean, you can't get that back. You can't get that back once it's gone. And so these history books, they lie. I'm sure they lie, because these people lie to us in real time. So, the best thing you can do is pass down stories in your family. Whatever. But that's all I have to say for tonight, guys. Hey, BMT, I'm actually getting off right now or whatever. I think I've said all I had to say for tonight. So you just did miss me, but hopefully you'll rewind at least a few minutes to check it out. Cameron Stage said, write it in a book and put it in a safe. And you know what? I think what I want to do, y'all, because I actually, like, my memory is really not that great. The two grandparents that I told y'all about that passed, both of them ended up passing with dementia. And so I don't know, like sometimes I get really scared about this. So I try to look for like alternatives to like make sure I'm, you know, keeping myself healthy and stuff like that. But wait, why was I saying that? I was saying it to say something. Y'all see my memory? You see what I'm talking about? But but yeah, so I'm thinking about, because my memory can get like really bad. So I think about that sometimes, like keeping a journal and like, you know, just of like little memories and stuff like that. And Roland said, you're very sentimental. Y'all, I'm like super sentimental. Like the smallest gestures mean like everything to me. Like I keep pictures, I keep notes, I keep like every birthday card, like graduation card, like all of that stuff. I still have it. Like I write the dates on the back of when I got it, like all my stuff, like from high school, my memorabilia and all of that. I still have all that stuff like tucked away or whatever. So I'm like very sentimental. But this stuff, you know, every now and again, like, you know, if somebody will pass, or if I just kind of want to have some memories, I'll kind of like go through that old stuff. And you see, man, like time is just passing. Time is just passing so fast and things change so quickly. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I don't think we really just take in the small things and things that are actually important, things that actually matter, things that actually affect us. And this is why I talk about family so much, and I really encourage the family structure, because family is the foundation for everything, and everything good flows from a good family and a good family structure or whatever. Rico told me copper prevents dementia. I'm gonna look into it too. Thank you. But all right, y'all. So on that note, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank y'all for always supporting me. Please continue sharing my videos, because y'all know YouTube shadow bans me. So thank y'all for always watching, rocking with me on Tuesdays. I've been taking some notes. I have a couple more videos that I want to do this week or whatever. So see y'all soon. Have a good night. Bye.